Hi everybody, Allie here with ABC Bead Supply. I'm here today to share with you some of our new pen kits. We have 10 brand new beadable pen kits available on the website. The kits include everything you need to duplicate each of these designs. This is how the kits look and come packaged. One kit has everything that you need to duplicate the pen completely, plus a holographic bag that will hold the pen for gifting it or selling it, however you're choosing to use the pen. The pen kits are great if you just want to make one of something and you don't want to have to buy bulks of things. So for example, to duplicate this pen, the 20 millimeters come in 10 packs or 50 packs, and then the 12 millimeters come in 20 packs or 100 packs of beads when you're buying just the bead. So if you only want to make one of these pens, you only need one of those beads. The kits are a great way for you to be able to make just one without having to buy all of the extra beads. If you're somebody who is making in bulk, if you're doing craft shows, selling online, Etsy seller, whatever the case may be, you're wanting to make a lot of something, then by all means you can grab the supplies a la carte, just buying the packages of the beads individually, and then you're going to save. So you're paying more for the kits because of the service of having them all prepped and put together for you like this. They're cheaper if you're only making a couple, but if you are making them in high quantities, you're going to want to buy the packages just on the website like normal. And the description on the website for each of the kits. So for example, the butterfly pen kit. If you want to make, say, 10 of these butterfly pens and you don't want to get 10 kits, you can go right to the kit listing. And in the kit listing, in the description of the website below the photo, is going to be a rundown of bullet points of each of those supplies, the actual names of each of the beads used. So it's easy for you to shop for those supplies. So that's what the pen kits look like. Let me show you some of these designs. So we have our new printed pens. And what I love about this is it's offering a little bit of a different look with the beadable pens. So for a long time it's been, and they're wonderful too, but it's been the solid pens, and we've gotten into some ombres too in the past, but pretty neutral pens, and it's easy to match those. So having a good stock of solid pens makes it really easy to match, especially if you're using printed focal beads. So this is a silicone focal I Love You paired with other 12 millimeter. I call them, so you have a solid one here. This is a completely solid bead, but these are kind of like specialty solids, right? So they're solids, but with a twist. So this is magenta marble. It's technically a solid color, but it's with a twist. So it's kind of a specialty solid. So your solid pens are great for these focal beads where you've got, a lot of interest already going on in the beads of the product. This is a little bit of an in-between. This is one of the new ombre ones. I just love the new ombre for baseball. It's really sweet with this teddy bear love too. So these ombres are like a subtle print because, well, it's not a print. It's a subtle taste of color because you've got your red graduating gradiating into the white. And then you've got your white shimmer or your red shimmer with the bouquet of flowers. And this bouquet of flowers silicone is in our Valentine collection, but this is going to be great for all of spring. April showers bring May flowers, Mother's Day in May, gift someone a bouquet of flowers, stick in a pen for them to use with the bouquet of flowers. It'll look really cute right in a bouquet, stuck right into a flower bouquet. So a lot of outside the box things you can be doing with this bouquet of flowers without it being just for Valentine's Day. So these are our silicone themed pens kits available. And then this is the Woof You, and this one is going to be in between. So it's taking a printed pen and a theme. This paw print kind of allows for a little bit of entering into both a themed pen and a themed bead. It's kind of the exception to the rule. And then these other print beads, you're going to want to stick with your specialty solids. So your solids with an interest, with a twist on these pens so that it's not too busy. But they're a lot of fun to work with, and it's using beads and getting a look to your pens that you might not use every day. So if you've been making pens for a while and you use a lot of silicone and designer print beads and everything on your pens, this is a nice change up. The rhinestone 20 millimeters look really nice as a centerpiece on these. The glitter has a lot of interest to it. That makes a really nice center. The sandy marble has a lot of interest. And these cubes, I just love the texture of the cubes. I think this pen is my favorite. I love the colors in this pen, absolutely love it, and I love the cube look. The other thing that's really fun to add into any of your beaded pens, but especially these, is a silicone focal, or I'm sorry, a silicone lentil, not a focal. And I'll show you in a minute why adding a little bit of silicone into your pens is a good idea. But these lentils just add a nice, again, change up of the texture rather than having all round beads on your pen. It just gives a little bit of interest, especially if you're not using, you know, a focal bead and everything is round. Just changes it up a little bit. We have restocked all of our lentil silicone beads too. So if you're just shopping for supplies, we've got a really good stock right now of the silicone lentil beads. Okay, let's talk printed pens for just a second. Printed pens have a seam on them. It is impossible for the print to be continual all the way around and to not have a seam. So there is going to be a seam on every pen. The seams are not going to line up all the time because these pens twist to open. So they're going to line up in one position down the bead, and then they're going to be off in the other because it's a twisted pen. So the seams aren't always going to line up whether the pen is open or closed, and there is going to be a seam. So I'm pointing this out so that if that is something that's going to bother you, you can see it and avoid this style, because it's not for everyone. I understand that that's something that may bother some, but that's just a part of the style of the printed beads. You can't have a completely seamless printed pen. Something to note too is like with the paw, your seam on the paw is going to look different because your paw, you might end up with a little bit of a white blank just because a print like this where you have more spacing between the prints, there's going to be more of a tendency on that seam to have a little bit of space because the background of it is white to begin with. So those aren't flaws, they're not defects in the pens, that's just the way that they are, the way that they're made, and it's just something to be aware of, that you are going to have a seam and that it's not going to line up if you open up your pen to use it. Okay, so let's show you how to put together one of the pens so you can see it in action. I love painter palette trays. They're really cheap. You can grab them at the craft store, Michael's, wherever, and they're so good for holding your beads and when you're working with projects. It's a really nice little cheap bead tray. So that's all that is. So you're going to take your pen and you're going to unscrew the pen rod. Both of the portions of the pen are going to unscrew. So both the base will unscrew and the top will unscrew. And then that way you have 2 points of adjustment to have the varying length that you need on the base of the pen. So sometimes you're going to need to crank them down and have less space on your rod. Sometimes you're going to need to open them up to have more space on your rod to load it. I like to start with the top at the loosest comfortable level. So you don't want it so loose that it's falling off, but I don't want it screwed all the way down so that I have some length to play with on the top of with the rod. All right, now this is the pen that I'm making. So we're going to start by using the crepe glitter bead, 12 millimeter crepe, so pretty. And then a lagoon rhinestone, and then a wild berry iridescent crackle, so gorgeous. A pure white lentil silicone, and then a fresh mint pearl. Okay, and then you're going to take the base of your pen and you're just going to screw that right on in and screw the top, screw the bottom, and you are good to go. Now, one thing that I like to recommend when you're making these pens is to take a dab of E6000. When you're sure that you've got the pen just the way that you want it, put a little bit of a dab on the top of the rod, little dab on the bottom of the rod. Again, you want to wait until you're sure that you like the design the way it is, because once you glue them, they won't come off. So this is a way for you to make sure that those beads stay secure and that they're not going to come undone. So I didn't show you, that one actually had a lot of space on it. Let's try one that doesn't have, I think this was one of the ones that didn't have quite as much space to work with. So let's pull out the heart kit. I wanted to show you what it looks like if you're having a hard time fitting all of the beads on a rod. And I thought that was one of them, but I was wrong. Oh, do you know what? It wouldn't be, because a tip for you your rhinestone 20 millimeter beads are always going to be a little bit smaller than your other 20 millimeter beads. And the reason for that is there are not rhinestones on top where the hole is. So you have no rhinestones on either end, which makes the dimension more like 19 by 20 millimeters. So it's just a slight difference. So that's another tip for you. If you're ever having a hard time fitting things and you feel like it's just not quite small enough or long enough of rod space, throw in a rhinestone bead, whether it be the 20 millimeter or the 12. They're just slightly smaller and they can make a big difference in how something fits on your pen. Okay, so this is the heart. Again, all printed pens are going to have a seam. Then they all look different depending on the print. For the heart, you're going to have a little bit of a stretch seam from how that print rolls around and wraps around that pen. So not a flaw, not a defect, it's just part of that seam. So we're going to unscrew. This one's stubborn. If you get a stubborn rod, I'm going to just take a pair of pliers to grip onto because sometimes they can hold better than your hands. I know my hands like to slip. Okay, so we've got our rod. Now we're going to do a rhinestone 12 millimeter white, the magenta glitter, so blingy and shiny, black polka dot, a fuchsia lentil, and a black satin. Now this one actually has quite a bit of space on the rod still too, but I'll show you anyway. So the thing that makes it nice to have at least one silicone on your beaded pen is so that if you're having a hard time and aren't just quite making it with having enough screw space showing down, actually this one is just a little. So you see how if I pull down there, it goes from the screw rung to the flat part of the rod. You really want to be able to start to see the flat part of the rod that's without screw when you're starting to screw that into the base of the pen. So silicone has some give. You don't have to use all silicone. A change in texture is great. But if you have just one silicone bead even, it gives you a little bit more room to just take your two fingers and smush. Do you see how that silicone lentil is moving down? So it just gives you a little bit of extra wiggle room to make sure that everything fits on your pen. It's just a bit more forgiving. So I like to always throw in a silicone. And sometimes all that means is just one little lentil. This pen, I cheated and I didn't use a silicone, but the spacing of that with the spacers worked out fine. So pens take just some plain with shapes, plain with sizes. If you're a beater, that's going to come easy to you. If you're new at this and you find that overwhelming, that's why these kits are great, because you can just snag a kit, you know everything's going to fit, you're going to be able to put that pen together, and you're not going to have to think about what beads are going to fit on or not fit on the pen. So the kits are available on the website, while supplies last, abcbeadsupply.com. Thanks and have a great day.